watching the SNS. Hey lovers and friends, we trust you are well. Welcome to another episode of Asking for a Friend, brought to you exclusively here on the SNS. Now today's episode is part of a series called Beyond the Binary, a 12-part series where we have honest conversations that challenge gender stereotypes and embrace the complexities of who we are beyond rigid roles and expectations. This series is made possible with the support of Africa No Filter.
Morning, how are you doing?
We're fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Maybe we can start with you, Val. Introduce yourself and tell us a little more about what you do.
This question is always so much fun to answer.
Yeah?
So I actually try to do it in different ways. So today I'll start with my name. My name is Valentine Njoroge. I'm the CEO of Africa's Pocket, which is a financial wellness company.
Yeah.
Today I think I can say I'm a serial entrepreneur. I do a couple of other things, including real estate development, and I'm a content creator as well.
Okay, thank you, Valentine. Agatha, over to you.
My name is Agatha. I'm the founder of the Wealth Tribe. The Wealth Tribe is a community of young people who openly talk about money and help each other build wealth.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. And as Agatha said, we want to be a part of that community, which inspires today's episode on money, power, and perception. The theme of today is how women are redefining wealth and influence in finance. And the stereotype we're challenging is that finance is a man's world and women aren't investment savvy or are not part of that world. So to start, money has long been framed as power, and power traditionally has always been coded to the male gender. From investing to wealth building, finance is often treated as a space women participate in cautiously or not at all. But today's conversation will be challenging that idea by centering women, Val and Agatha, who are actively reshaping what wealth, influence, and financial confidence look like. So, I don't know who wants to start. We do rock, paper, scissors. But let me start with you, Agatha.
Yeah, okay.
What was your earliest relationship with money, and how did you first become interested in finance or wealth building?
Okay, I'll say it's when I consciously became aware of like how important money is to me as an adult.
Okay.
Because of course there's the childhood. I always say that our bringing affects our relationship with money. But then for me, the thing that made me very conscious or like lit a bulb in my world is debt.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was just like a lot of us. You go to school and your parent encourages you to like do well in primary school. Okay, of course, kindergarten. Do well in primary school, do well in high school, do well in uni and get a good job, right?
Yeah.
So me, I ticked those boxes, right? And then I finished uni. I always say that I was one of those privileged people who never tarmacked. Like I graduated uni on, I remember our graduation was like November 16th. Yeah, and by 1st November, I had a job.
Well, wait. So, what was the secret?
I'll write a book about it.
Yes.
Anyway, so so I was saying like I ticked the boxes, got the job early enough, and I remember like for me sometimes I don't mind sharing numbers. My first job I made 50K gross, which back in 2016. You know, like the average graduate in Kenya, you don't make a lot of money. You like make an average of like 30K. So me, I remember calling my friend and he assured me that I'm making a lot of money. Even if that was gross, you know, net is something different. Anyway, so having gotten the job, of course you have a lot of responsibilities, paying rent and everything. And then of course there's a bit of black tax. So eventually I got myself in a lot of debt. Like I wasn't able to manage this 34K net that came to me. So I got myself into a lot of mobile money loans. You know, back in the day, a few years back when a lot of these mobile money loans were not regulated. So there were very many in the country. I remember there was a time I used to have like 10 mobile money loan apps back in 2017 and 2018. So it'd be like paying Peter to PayPal, you know, you unachukua hapa, unalipa hapa, unachukua hapa, unalipa hapa. Eventually, one day I was in a matatu on my way to work on Gong Road. Our office back then was in Karen. And I got a call from a strange number, and it was a debt collector. Akaniambia, hi. So first of all, they are not professional. Those people are not regulated. I don't even know why I said hi. That's not true. So akaniambia msichana, kuna hii deni yako, I won't name the app. So msichana, kuna hii deni yako yenye hujalipa for the last for the last 2 weeks, and he was like, nataka ulipe hii deni leo. Me, I didn't have money to pay him, so I'm telling him confidently that mimi sina hiyo pesa ya kulipa. He told me I don't care.
Wow.
Yeah, like me, I don't care whether you have the money to pay. Yeah, so I like that.
He was right for you. Whatever that means.
Yeah, he was like, I don't care whether you have the money or not. You are supposed to pay this money today. So I kept insisting that. Remember, I'm in a matatu, right? So also kuna the watu wanasikiza. So but then he was like, I started feeling very scared, especially because I told him, like I insisted, because I didn't have the money genuinely to pay him leo Sabila nasema. So he told me that, I don't have. He told me that I don't care. So I told him that. Sitaweza kulipa. So he told me that I don't care, lazima ulipe, because remember, when you signed up to this app, you gave us access to a lot of your data, because those apps, since they are not regulated, when you sign up, you give them access to your phone contacts, your messages. So he told me, I know where you work, I know your boss, I know your guardians, or I know your parents, I know your siblings. So kitu unaniambia that you won't pay, just know I can locate you. Also, you used to give them access to your location.
So
how
was that legal?
Wild. Yeah, they used to be that bad, right? So when he told me that, now that's when I went back home that day. So he threatened me. So hiyo siku nilikuwa, even when I was going back home, maybe I'm being followed.
Anybody looks at you longer than normal, you're just like,
So eventually, when I went back home, I remember, like, I was living in a tiny studio apartment. I sat on my bed and I was like, how did I get here? You know, like, how did I get here to a point where I'm getting threatening calls, you know, on a Monday morning. So that was my awakening for
what an awakening.
Yeah.
You're like this.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, so that was my, you need to do something about your finances. Yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
And quite the story. I hope it was not like that.
You know, I actually think everybody has to have a sort of a traumatic story to actually take it seriously. So for me, I grew up around money.
Okay.
Both of my parents are entrepreneurs, so I was always in their offices doing all sorts of things. Like one of my earliest memories, I was maybe like 6 or 7. My mom used to have a hardware store in Githurai. So that's where we used to spend Saturday morning, you know, because that's what you do. You go to where your mom is going. So my job was to be the cashier, to count the change.
At like
6, 7 hapo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you change lives?
Trustworthy. At 6, 7.
Imagine. So I used to get the 2 coins. I stack them up like in the categories, so 1 bob, 5 bobs, 10 bobs, like that.
Bobs,
Then when somebody needs change, I count and I give them. So that was like my favorite thing to do. So I was always like very interested in money. Then fast forward, you know, I went to uni. I studied economics. I thought I would change the world, you know, and go and work at the World Bank. I found myself on Wall Street doing like evil corp type of stuff. Anyway, so I did have this career that allowed me to earn a lot of money, and eventually I moved back home. And I was working with Santam, which was also known for huge paychecks, huge bonuses, and that kind of thing. So I never thought my money could ever end.
Jackpot.
Exactly. But lo and behold, the day came when my card was declined. Imagine.
And like, where were you when the card declined?
Do I even want to say?
Were you at Sherehe?
Sema tu in broad
entertainment.
An entertainment scene.
Well, for once, I was not in an entertainment joint, but I was buying things for entertainment.
Okay. We will take that.
And then my card was declined. So I was like, wow, how can my money issue? And this was like December actually. So it was like I was in the coast.
The spirit of Sherehe was
the spirit of Sherehe was lit. I was the one bringing the things for the people in the Airbnb we were staying in, or the whatever. And my card was declined. So I had to ask my friend to pay the bill and try to figure out how to manage until end of Jan. And so that for me was my big awakening. And interestingly, it actually didn't change my behavior that much. Because the next paycheck, you know, I borrowed money from my folks. The next paycheck came, I paid them back, and I kind of continued that life until I needed to pay a very big bill, which was I decided I wanted to go and do my master's. And the mentor that was mentoring me kept telling me, you have to do a world-class master's if that's what you're going to do. You're a brilliant girl, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, she went to Harvard. So she's like, you need to go to Harvard. So I checked the fees for Harvard. Can you guess how much it is?
I know you want to just tell us.
Tell us.
It's like 20 million shillings.
This is for how long?
For a master's degree, an MBA,
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
So I was like, now where am I going to find 20 million? She said, first of all, check how much money you've made over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I should have been able to pay. I didn't have the money. Yeah. So what changed for me then is, she helped me just like break it down into smaller, more accessible goals. She helped me figure out how much I can get as a scholarship, how much I actually needed to put away myself. And I told myself I want to save 7 million.
Yeah.
I gave myself 2 years, and that's when my behavior changed. So I spent a lot of time figuring out how to increase my income, save better, invest more smartly. And I eventually got the money, and I went and I did my master's at Oxford. But not at Harvard, but at Oxford.
Yeah, equally.
Guys. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Thank you guys so much for sharing vulnerably. It is such it's such a, what is it called? It's so profound for us to bear witness to these versions of you. I'm sure the younger versions of you are like, oh, thank God. What like do it? Yeah. So let's talk about the definition of success, and when it comes to, especially for gender, why do you think finance has historically been perceived as a man's world? When did that first become very blatant to you? Just like, oh, interesting. Yeah.
Maybe Val can start.
Can start with that.
So in this journey of yours, when did it first become like, wow, this is, like maybe you walk into a room and people are just like, I'm sorry, we never expected it. Yeah.
I think for me it was like from early days. The interesting thing is like when you actually look on the ground today, when I look at my clients at Africa's Pocket, actually they're mostly women.
True.
Like it's like it's crazy. It's like 90-something% are women. So it's actually not true that finance is a man's world. But the decisions at the at the top in the top of the rooms, there are a lot of men there. And I think the first time it struck me was probably, definitely in New York, but I thought that was a New York thing. Yeah. So I didn't think about it that much. But when I came back to Kenya, and I continued to work in finance, for sure, on my team at Centum, I was in a team of, I think we were 12. We were two women, one of which was the PA to the director.
So I guess it was, you were holding the fort.
So that was sort of the team that did investments. And then even within that team, because we were attached to some other projects, you just could see the things that women were being asked to do were just a bit different than the stuff men were being asked to do. So we do a social every quarter. Most of the time it was my job to plan it. When we're trying to figure out where to eat, it's me to plan it.
To bring the tea.
Well, I never agreed to bring it.
I'm saying things that you are asked
those are the
to
things
do.
that you're being asked
to do.
So I'd say that's the first time it really hit me, like, actually, there are no women here at the decision-making table. And I wanted to change that.
Okay. Agatha, what was it like for you?
Like, even for me at the Wealth Tribe, because I do financial coaching, I always say, like, out of 10 clients, 8 are women. Like, in fact, when a man reaches out for financial coaching or financial advisory, I'm usually like a bit in shock, like, hiya.
I thought you got it.
For sure. But then for me, the thing that struck me is when I started one-on-one financial coaching, one of the questions I always ask my clients is, what is your relationship with money? And then I always ask them, how did you form this relationship with money? Like, how did it start? And most people will give you, like, you'll ask them, and I'll also ask them, like, what did you learn about money from your dad? And what did you learn about money from your mom? Most of us, even as we're seated here, most people usually say that their story is usually like, okay, when you're growing up, you thought it is your dad who had the money, right? Like, it's a social thing. We are brought up like that. We are brought up like that to think that it is your father who has the money. But then when you grow up in your teenagehood and you grow up like in your 20s, you realize that your mother actually contributed a lot to the finances, to that household, right? You even realize that most people will always say that my mom was a saver. Later on is when it hits you, right? My mom saved a lot of money. My mother advocated for us to go to better schools because it was just left to my dad. Tungeenda to polling station, like, but we are socialized. You get like we are socialized to think that at our home it is the dads who have money, but then later on you make this realization that actually my mother played a big role, and so that is when you realize that even from the very beginning, women know what they're doing with money. Your mother knew what she was doing with money, right? It's not like we're saying dads didn't know, but your mother also knew what she was doing with money. And so over time, when one person tells you their story and then you can relate to it, another person, that's when it hit me that like it's actually a thing we grew up thinking. And so now it also translates to you as a woman, as a young woman, in that the thing where you want to get married, for example, or you want to get into a relationship. You, even if you're so brilliant, you still have this expectation. It can be big or small, but you still have this expectation that there's going to be a knight in shining armor
coming to swoop you off your feet.
Yes, and solve and exactly, and especially solve your financial problems, right? And it's like, why? Like, stop it. Like, you have the brilliance for you to be able to manage money as a woman. It's a neutral thing. It's not a gendered thing.
Well, I think we can even close it on that. Okay. So have you ever had, now this is in the span of your career and growth, your financial knowledge questioned by virtue that you are a woman? Where you say something and it should just be that, but people are just like, hey, I don't need my chat now. Has that happened to you guys?
And we don't want to snatch edges. It happened very recently.
I know.
Talk to us about it.
I can tell the story on your behalf.
Tell us.
It happened very recently. I was on a podcast just like this with a man who his numbers were very over here. Okay. And he kept quoting, studies and things like that. I mean, you can go and check.
We'll put your mic here.
And I said something like, I don't have the exact study, but, and then went to give my opinion. And it was taken so, like, I don't know how to describe how that was taken by the internet. And actually, even some of my clients came and started asking me, do you have a problem with men? And I'm like, no, I don't actually have an issue with men. But just the way you're saying, statistically speaking, women are better at money than men are. And men benefit from having a woman in their life, especially in the context of marriage financially. So that's an example of something I think that was taken out of context. And then I was questioned because I'm a woman. Because I think if a man said that, then guys would be like, they'd be like, for real. But then would tell us more.
Let Val say it and we want to crucify her. Agatha, have you had your financial knowledge questioned?
I have, like, now on an individual level where, so when men come to me for one-on-one financial coaching, I always notice that the first session has a lot of what are your qualifications, right? Like what makes you. I actually remember there was a time, like, instead of having a 1 hour session, it was a whole 2 hours because this man, and I didn't want to cut him off, but he really kept asking me, where did you go to school? What are your qualifications? There's this video I saw you talking about this and this. What made you say that? What made you say that? They really want to dig deeper into, do you actually want to know? Do you actually know what you're saying, right?
But you're the one that has come to me for assistance.
Yes, I just look for you.
Because I would be like, thank you so much for your time.
I just wanted to, sometimes you just hear people, right? To see where this is going, also for the plot sometimes. So, but then usually women do not ask me. Yes, once in a while, someone, even me, if I came to you for financial coaching, I would be like, oh, what did you study? But then it's not deep into like an hour of interviewing.
It's not an interrogation.
That's the difference. So I get interrogated on this side and this side is like, let's go. That's my experience.
Well, and so I'm so curious. This is, maybe I digress, but do you just take calm? Are you just like deep breaths?
I think because you already know that as a woman in finance, it will happen. You don't get offended or riled up. Because that's the thing. Because I saw what she's describing. I watched those videos. And I just remember thinking, I hope Val is not riled up about this. Because eventually it will end. In Aisha. So there's literally no need of you getting angry. And it is.
And that's what makes it sad. That it is what it is. Or this is just the way that it is.
Or maybe another perspective is she's qualified, right?
I think that's what, for me it's like because you do your work and you do it well and you're good at it.
Yeah. She's qualified, she has the professional experience, she has 1,000,001 clients who would say that she actually knows what she's doing. That's the most important thing.
That's what matters. So it's neither here nor there, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
Anytime we have so many gems, I can't wait for this episode. So outside of money or wealth, how have you personally defined, outside of money, how do you personally define wealth and power for you as an individual?
That's such a good question.
Thank you.
For me, time, the freedom of my time is so important. So there's this community I run called the Pandas, and Pandas are all about being able to like enjoy your soft life today, but also secure your future tomorrow. And I think there's a lot of conversations about money that are about sacrifice and be frugal and working hard and saving. And I'm like, I reject this. I say you can be a panda. So being a panda means that you're powerful because you're a bear. Pandas are actually bears.
Like the animal?
They're actually like there are species of bear, they can maul you to death. But they're so soft and cuddly and they choose this softer way, you know?
They're not about to be fighting in the forest about
about nothing. So for me, that is what I consider wealth. Being able to have that balance and being able to enjoy my life today, but still knowing that I'm secure for tomorrow.
Wow.
I also think that's very powerful.
You'll tell us how we can join the Pandas. Are you guys having a new intake? We sign up?
Yes, you just join.
I too want to be a panda. Okay. That's very beautiful. Agatha, how do you define this for you?
I think for me, it's in the same line in that you want to be in control of your time, right? You really want. So maybe a backstory is when I was, my last job, it used to be in a private equity firm. And I remember when you're employed in such a 9-to-5 finance environment, I'm sure it's like the hours are insane, right? Like you can come to work at 6 a.m. and at like 8 p.m. there's still something else on your to-do list and you have to keep going. Sometimes even over the weekend you take work home. There's never like you've really clocked out. And so I remember I really struggled because one of the things I don't like, I'm not a morning person. So one of the things I usually say I really hate is morning alarms. For me, one of my definitions of wealth is being able to, for my body to wake up naturally.
Wow. I love that.
In the morning, right?
As just announced it, Agatha said we wake ourselves up. Put the alarm.
So I remember when I was thinking about I want to quit this job, but my biggest motivation was if I saved an emergency fund, right? And if I built a diversified investment portfolio, of course starting with an emergency fund, it means that I can get rid of the alarm and start my own business, right? And then so for example, in terms of being in control of your time, my clients know that you can't book a meeting with me before 10 a.m. Because then you'll get the not very cheerful Agatha, but if you get a meeting with me from 11 upwards, even like 9 p.m., I'll be like energetic. So it's all about we save and invest so that we're able to buy back our time, so that you're in control of your 24 hours as much as you can.
The thing that is standing out the most, I think, value-wise, is freedom, and especially, I guess, even when it comes to your time. What other values, I guess, fit into that definition of success beyond money for you guys? Is it security, etc.?
I don't know if I'd say security is success. It's like on the way to. Like I don't think you can feel freedom without stability and security. So it's maybe the first step. I usually think of it like the cushion, right? But if I'm to really define success, I think the other element of success other than freedom in that element of time is like not being tied to societal like pressures. So a big thing that my clients come and ask me is, should I think I should buy a house? Like that's like the next step. And when you really dig deep and you ask, why do you want to buy the house? When do you want to do it? They really don't know. It's just this thing you're supposed to do because you are told by, I don't know, your mom or your shosho or whoever, right? So I think a big part of success is actually being able to articulate your own vision for your life, whether it fits the mold or not.
Yeah.
So like I personally have already decided I'm not going to own a residential home. I might have my beach house, I might have my, you know, safari house, whatever. But like my house in Nairobi, I want to rent because I want to be able to move if I want to. And I want to be able to travel if I want to. Like I want to be able to pick up and go and live somewhere for 2 years. But getting to an insight like that requires you to really shed a lot of
because someone will be like, why are you, if you have money, then why are you renting? I think the common, I don't know now if I would call it stereotype, is then if you have all of this money or wealth that you've accumulated over time, and to be financially literate, it would mean stop renting and just buy, so that you don't have to use the money, I guess, to rent. Interesting.
I think for me, I would say it's about being able, another definition of wealth for me is about being able to buy ease into my life. So, for example, one of the things that I really struggle with is that because I'm very busy with like, you know, coaching my clients and, you know, running my business, you know, running your own business has a lot of moving parts and pieces.
For sure.
I find myself that it's lunch hour, for example, and I'm really hungry and I haven't cooked, right?
And you're not about to be in that kitchen.
Yes, right? So I'm just going to start
chopping and cleaning.
Yes, exactly. So you'll end up like eating very unhealthy meals. So when I say like I want to buy ease, so for example, one of the things that I did this year, it has been on my financial to-do list for a while, is being able to outsource that part of my life, right? Where I need to eat healthy meals, because again, if you don't take care of your body in the name of work, you will crash out, right? So I outsourced in that, you know, there you buy a meal plan, right? Where somebody cooks and then make sure that you have food like from Monday to Friday. And so for me, like that's an example of buying ease. Like if there's something I'm really struggling with and I can outsource it, I can afford to outsource it, I'm not going to tell myself I'm a strong, independent woman. No. I'm going to use money as a tool to buy myself as much ease as I can afford in my life. Because, why not?
And this life, it's so short to be
so
struggling
short.
to yourself to.
Can I ask you that question?
Yes, ask me.
That one, what's your definition of wealth?
Wow. I think you guys have touched on all of them. For me, it's convenience. I think it boils down to ease. I want to be able to say, I want to travel. And it's not, oh my God, can I ask for, I don't know who, can I do this? So I think for me, the biggest one would be convenience and I guess ease. And also time. I did an internship and I hated it. And at that point, I knew I would not be able to do the whole 9 to 5. And I respect people who are able to do that. But I think I was just not cut out for that. Although I decided to come and become an entrepreneur, I'm also seeing dust, but you know, it's part of the journey. So I think I prefer this type of work that I do because I guess also of the concept of time. To the outside looking in, it's like, oh my God, you just shoot videos. You don't know what time I woke up. Then you know what time I was asleep. But the decision is up to me. So I guess just that freedom to be able to consciously make decisions for myself, by myself, with myself. That's what success beyond money would look like. And I am manifesting those things.
Amen.
Thank you. Wow. Kidogo. So now let's speak directly to our audience that is watching. Predominantly, our audience is female, which is why I also really wanted to highlight you guys. What practical steps help women build financial confidence? If I come to you and I say, I want to be as confident as you are with money, what are the practical steps? Usually I hear people say, you know, you start saving, you start investing. And I'm like, that's very
vague.
It's vague and there's a lot of ambiguity. Where would you actually direct someone? Sister Nancy, start here.
Maybe you can go first.
Practical steps. I think the first thing, it's very important to understand your relationship with money first, right? Because most of us are, we get influenced a lot. Like you're online, you saw Agatha did X, and then Val bought Y, and then you want to do that, but you don't know what is your why, right? So you first, by addressing, like I said, your childhood relationship with money, you understand who you are, and then you understand what you took from that. And if you, the positive things of course are good, the negative things of course you need to work on them, and you can work on them by yourself, or also you can use a coach. Sometimes they're not that deep, sometimes you need someone to help you, sometimes you don't. But then the minute after that, ask yourself, what are your financial goals for you, not because other people said that you're supposed to do X and Y. So for example, like she said, she doesn't want to buy a residential house in Nairobi. There's probably reasons, not probably, there are reasons why, like she doesn't want to, right? So for example, and then there's, we can say, usually when you say like, oh, you need to have a 1-year emergency fund. And let's say we dictate, like, for example, on my channel, we usually run this challenge called the 1 million emergency fund challenge, where I'm trying to get as many people to save a 1 million emergency fund, because having a 1 million shillings for a lot of people, it just lights a bulb in you, like, what? So you mean I can save 1 million shillings? Fine, we've all saved 1 million shillings, but you're a mother of 3, for example. I'm a single lady, the other person is a father of 2, right? That 1 million shillings is not enough for that million for all of us. Like you probably need 3 million in emergency fund. He needs 2 million. I need even 600K as a single girl, right? So it's about what are actually your financial goals, depending on you, where you are right now and what you want in your future. And then based on those financial goals, ask yourself, which financial product is available to meet this specific financial goal? And that's why I usually say that, for example, when it comes to buying land, not all of us need to be buying land, and maybe not all of us need to be buying land in our 20s or 30s, for example. You know that pressure of, as we are buying in Nanyuki.
To be a landowner, title deed,
yes. And I'm not saying, of course, people get that. I'm not saying do not buying land. I'm saying, like, not all of us need to be buying. So that's why you say, so now, so you've written your goals, right? Now you're asking yourself, which financial product is available to be able to meet this goal? So then you will see that maybe 99% of the time you actually don't need to buy a piece of land, because for example, like she was saving for her school, at that point she can't buy land and wait for it to appreciate in order for her to do this. So maybe at that point, maybe she needed to buy, like, let's say as an example of bonds, right, where the income from the bonds is actually paying the school fees maybe by annually. See, so it's about have very clear financial goals based on who you are and where you want to go. Ask yourself which financial product meets this goal. And if you want to, like, exchange information with someone or, like, hire a coach to, like, check through it, do it, so that you know you're aligned with where you're going, as opposed to guesswork. Because sometimes finance can be overwhelming.
So just to recap, you said get to know your relationship with money, and then please focus on your goals. Who you are, your goals, and then what would you recommend for the girlies, for the ladies?
Yeah, I think, the reason this question keeps coming up is because it is very confusing. One of the things we did at Africa's Pocket was we created a quiz that allows you to actually just have one starting point. Because to Agatha's point, it's not the same for everybody. So you can go to our website, africaspocket.com, and take the quiz. If you assume that we are starting from day one, you got a job, your salary one. The first thing that I would recommend you do is understand how much you spend every month. I get so surprised by how many people don't understand how much they spend every month. So one of the exercises we do when we do advisory is actually just go through your numbers. And let me tell you, for me, the most interesting category is personal care. So we usually ask someone, okay, how much do you think you spend on your personal care per month? The average girl who's like me will say, I don't know, like maybe 10K.
But the truth,
then you actually break it. Okay, how much are your nails? Okay, 3-5. What about your hair? Maybe 5K. You do lashes? Okay, how much is that?
5K.
Another 5K. Okay, you do a wax. How much is that?
Another 4K.
Like that. Then you count it all of it together is 25,000.
But in your mind, you thought it was
10K. That is where financial plans fall apart. That's where it breaks down.
Honesty.
Wow. Whether that's true, the average person doesn't know how much they spend.
Some people don't even know how much they make.
I was shocked by that. Like, I didn't know that could be a thing.
Honestly, that was me for many years. I didn't know how much money I made. Because you have your salary, maybe, that's the net that comes into your account, but maybe you also get commissions. You also get a bonus. You also have a side hustle. So you don't know. You don't know how much money
But
you
just
make.
vibes and inshallah.
Okay. So getting your numbers right, I think, is where I would start.
All right. I was watching a reality show recently. I'm a big fiend of Real Housewives. And this one was Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Point to note, I know the lifestyles are obviously very different, but the principle, I think, remains the same. So one of the housewives, she says that in her relationship, she's currently going through a separation or a divorce. So now you know, for context, the partner that she's currently divorced, so let's say her ex-husband, when they got together, he had a business before he met her. Then the business went south. So when he met her, he was starting at like, I think, flat out zero, you know. And then now I guess in the relationship, the business grew and they were happily married for a couple of years until that went left field. So now that they are separating or in the process of divorce, throughout the marriage, she was the one handling the finances.
She was the one who was handling.
He
was.
And he insisted. He was like, you just gotta trust me, you know. And she went along just trusting him. And now that they are divorced, towards the beginning of the divorce, he said, but don't worry, the finances will remain the same.
Wait, what do you mean by he was handling the finances? As in he was paying the bills?
Yes, he was, I think she was definitely earning, but he was the primary breadwinner, and he was taking care of the lion's share. So if he's doing like 80%, she just covers at 20%.
Like ideally, she's not supposed to worry about money in this relationship.
Okay, and her and her children are not to worry. But then they start the divorce process. A month later, he sends an email saying, I'm not going to pay for this. She's like, sorry. Another month, I'm not going to pay for that. So he just starts dropping. I'm not going to pay for this. I'm not going to pay for this. And, you know, that's the situation that they're in. So he was managing all their finances, their accounts, their payments, the investments. And she trusted that everything was handled. But that, as I've said, when the relationship began to fall apart, that financial knowledge gap suddenly became such a huge power imbalance. Because she goes to lunch and she's meeting with a friend and the friend asks her, so how much does your household, and it's a huge house, you can imagine the houses in Beverly Hills, and this is someone, they've been living a good lifestyle, like designers, trips, whatnot. She's being asked, how much does it take to run your household? I don't know. How much is the kids this? I don't know. And then it made me think how often women are encouraged to trust financially. I think instead of being fully informed, especially in situations where it's long term, because you're not predicting or you don't preempt that you're going to be separating from this person.
Of course,
And if this person has sustained your lifestyle to a particular degree, you're thinking, darling, we should be good. So I'm curious, maybe from your own experiences with your clients, why do you think women are often encouraged to leave money matters to their partners? Because I was watching the show and I said,
like, how can you be in this
you
situation?
know, and I remember I paused the video and I calculated her outfit. I said, that must be Chanel. You are wearing Louis Vuitton. Those are some Dior. So I said,
how now?
And you don't know. Ajisasa.
Yeah.
You know. So then, and it's something I've seen a lot, that when people often go their separate ways in context of situations that have lasted long, like marriages, you find one partner is doing everything and the other, and more often than not, it's always the woman. It's like a trust. I don't know if it's like it's just a trust, like a blind trust where, you know, it's got to sour.
Yeah. Me, I don't know why we were told to do that.
Like,
I don't know. But I think that you should actually assume that the relationship is going to end.
Okay.
Because it is, either in divorce or in death.
Oh, wow.
The relationship will end.
Eventually.
Every relationship.
So, I mean, unless you die first, which then it doesn't matter. But like,
you're gone.
Like, the statistic is that women live longer than men.
Yeah.
So a lot of actually widows also find themselves in that situation where their husband passes away and they don't even know how to pay their car insurance.
Yeah.
You know, so and I don't think that we should allow ourselves to be in that position.
And you know, the thing I was going to add also is social media. You know, when it comes to like perception, we have really, and I think there's nothing, okay, maybe I should say this in another episode that there's nothing wrong, but in this episode, maybe it should be like a flag where people just, there's this, what is it called? Like an indoctrination of people just wanting to be taken care of and princesses and all of that. And I guess I love that for you. But now we're seeing it on the flip side where when that comes to a halt, it's such a sudden and drastic change. So yeah.
You know, I also don't know why, but recently I was watching this video on TikTok, and this lady was saying, so she talks about empowering women when it comes to our money. And she talks about, she was telling young women especially that please stop thinking that money comes from men and through men, right? Because like, stop thinking that money comes from men and through men, where she was giving examples of how you again, knight in shining armor, right? You're a young woman, you're waiting for a man, even when you're brilliant and you have a degree, you're still
and the
waiting.
resources.
And the resources. And then we live in the age of the internet and AI, right? Like these things, you have access to them, right? So she was wondering, why then do we still think that you can sit down and somebody comes to save you, yet you have your brain of your own? Are you then saying that this person is more brilliant than you are? So in this thing, it's like, stop it. Like, stop thinking that money comes from men or through men, because money is a neutral resource, right? If you take your time as a woman to educate yourself financially, like get the financial literacy that you need, whether by yourself or by hiring a coach or an advisor, you'll get the same knowledge a man would get if you just use the resources, right? So in this case, for me, I feel like it didn't end wrong. Sometimes I would struggle with being very empathetic with her, because it's like, it didn't end wrong, it started wrong. Like from the very beginning, you gave away your power, and power shifts where the money is. So you gave away your power from the very beginning. Of course, I understand that it happens to a lot of women, but now that we have all these resources and all this knowledge, please, it doesn't matter who your husband is, your brother is, your father is, who the man you're thinking of marrying is, it doesn't matter. Women should be in charge of their own finances. Even in a marriage setup, you should be in charge of your finances.
And the church said amen.
I want to add a little bit of nuance.
Yes.
So I don't know where the whole thing of men should take care of women came from, but I also think it's something, like you said, a lot of people desire. So maybe the way to manage that a bit, instead of just saying, okay, give away the baby girl lifestyle forever. Because even me, I like being taken care of. I would lie, right? Like it's enjoyable to me. But maybe the way to do it is, don't be blind. So don't close your eyes to what's happening. Understand what's going on, but you can still let him pay what he wants to pay.
So it's in the understanding and the knowledge.
Have insight. You know?
I like that, but then it's in the thinking that in order for me to have the baby girl lifestyle, it has to be funded by someone else. In that, I understand that. Of course, I agree with you in that it can be funded by someone else if that is what you want. But also in my empowerment of the fact that I have the knowledge and skills and I can get the financial literacy, I can also fund my
own
baby girl lifestyle.
All right. So we want to close, but thank you so much for sharing. Maybe each of you can give me a parting shot. What would you want young women, anything that we may have missed, something you'd like to add to know about money, power, and their own financial capacity? Just a nice parting shot, and we wrap this up with a bow.
Young women. Like, I think I've said it over and over again. You're smart enough. Money is not a gendered tool. Money is not a gendered tool. It's a neutral tool. To mean that if you're deliberate about reading about it, seeking information, seeking advisory, you can be good as the next person. I won't say you can be good as the next person. Yes. Okay. So do the work.
I think for me, I'll say it's possible to have both the soft life today and to secure your future tomorrow. What it requires is a little bit of strategy. So take time to figure that out. And having a good financial life, it is a lifestyle. It's not a one-off. It's not something you do once, watch one YouTube video,
and you're like,
and then you're like, okay, right. I got this.
It needs to be
okay.
It needs to be part of your life, just like gym.
Honestly.
That's very true. Okay, so maybe you can let us know where we can find you on socials. Those of us who want to be pandas or join the Wealth Tribe, how do we go about that? And then we can close.
Everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Be Wealth Tribe.
To get the personal coaching, how do we go about that?
DM me. DM me or send me an email at agatha@thewealthtribe.com.
Okay.
And I would encourage you to join the 1 million emergency fund challenge, because at the end of the day, I always say that your emergency fund is the foundation of your financial security. So the minute you figure out how much money do I need to survive in a year, or even how much money do I need to survive in a month, and then how much do you need 6 months and so on, I'm going to be your accountability partner to help you get there. So join it through, you can email me or you can DM me on Instagram.
Okay. We'll have Agatha's details in the description box down below. Val, how do we join Africa's Pocket?
Pandas.
The things. So we are at Africa's Pocket on all socials. The best way to join our community is take the quiz on our website. So just go to africaspocket.com and then click the big yellow button that says take the quiz. From there, you'll be entered into our newsletter. I do a weekly newsletter, which I love writing. And it's just real stories about how people are doing it.
Yeah.
And then you'll kind of understand what it means to be a panda and all the events that we have and the products that we have for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Val and Agatha, for sharing. Please remember that Beyond the Binary, this series reminds us that financial intelligence has no gender, as Agatha put it, and power can be built, shared, and redefined. And we wish you all the very best on this journey.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Beyond the Binary. We hope you liked it. Let us know what resonated with you, what sparked reflection, what challenged you in the comment section down below. And once again, a huge thank you to Africa No Filter for making this series a reality. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Ready, set, let's go. I'm on the way up. I'm on the way up. I'm on the way up, going all the way up. I'm on the way up. I'm on the way up. I'm on the way up, going all the way up.
And you're watching the SNS.